I'm looking back at the albums I heard growing up. Not the really big ones like Ram or Remain in Light, just deeper cuts. Here are the albums that made me. So you might not believe this, but there was a time when the only way you could talk to someone that didn't live in the same town as you was to use a phone tethered to the wall and call them long distance. What that meant for me is while I was in high school and basically all through my childhood, I only got to talk to my dad for about 15 minutes a week on Sundays when my sister and I would call him. Collect. Look it up. As I started getting serious about music, I'd use that time to talk to my dad about the guitarists that were impressing me. Eric Johnson, Roy Buchanan, The Edge. But Butch wasn't one to be easily impressed. And he told me one week that the best guitar playing he'd ever seen was John McLaughlin in the Mahavishnu Orchestra. So armed with only the names John McLaughlin and Mahavishnu, I headed to Specs to see what I could find. What I found was a cassette called Adventures in Radioland by, quote, John McLaughlin and Mahavishnu, end quote. Seemed like a winner, so I grabbed it. When I played it for the first time, honestly, I didn't know what I was hearing. I mean, there were things I could identify about song structure, when solos were happening, when a melody was being stated, stuff like that, but harmonically it sounded weird. The chords didn't make any sense, for starters. The melodies in the solos sometimes felt like they were fighting the rhythm section. And there were these long passages of just electronic music. But there was also the things that McLaughlin was doing on guitar. And fast is only part of the story. His note choices were so bent. He wasn't just playing scale notes fast, he was playing the notes that were neighbors of the scale notes. The notes that lived down the block from the scale notes. The notes that the scale notes used to go to middle school with. For me, it was almost like seeing a new color. Plus, this was music Dad recommended, so, I stuck with it. And wouldn't you know it, after repeated listenings, Adventures in Radioland became one of my favorite albums. And it made me a fan of not only John McLaughlin, but also Jonas Hellborg, who I got to see live with Sean Lane and Jeff Sipe at Smith's Old Bar, and Bill Evans, the saxophonist, who I actually got to play music with at Roots Rock Revival in 2015. That's Roots Rock Revival, July 29th to August 2nd, the Full Moon Resort in Bay in New York. Go to rootsrockrevival.com for more info. The standout tracks for me are Florianopolis and The Wait. Final analysis. Is this an album I still like? Well, despite the fact that there are like 20 John McLaughlin and Mahavishnu albums I like better, yes, I do still enjoy this music. Is this an album I still spin regularly? I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 times a year? Would I recommend Adventures in Radioland? For those fusion fans out there that might already know bands like Steps Ahead or Chick Corea's Electric Band or Tribal Tech, but aren't up on what McLaughlin was doing at the time, then yeah, check this one out.